Support provided by the Chesapeake and Newport News with chef-centric farm-to-table dining. thechesapeake.org. Hi friends, Jay Sennett. Welcome to another edition of Cooking with Jay. As always, I hope all of you are doing well. Welcome back to the Jazz Kitchen. And today I am preparing dessert, a delicious dessert. And I am a fruit nut. If I have a weakness for food, it's fruit, and potatoes. But no potatoes on the menu today, but we do have some fruit. We're going to make this delicious dessert. Now, due to the time factor that I have to produce this show, I'll just have to take you through this because I already have the filling made and the dough made, but it's so easy. Okay, you see this? We're making a blueberry crumble, like blueberry crumble bars, right? And how I make this crumble dough, a cup of soft butter. Yes, there's a lot of butter in here. A cup of soft butter, 2.5 cups of flour, okay? About a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, okay? Baking powder, and about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, teaspoon of vanilla extract in here. Now, you might think, well, that's a lot of flour compared to the cup of butter. Well, not really, because it's going to crumble a little bit. If you can get a closer look at this, you see how it's kind of gooey, but not overly gooey, and it's crumbles up a little bit because that's what we want. Okay, we'll get to the filling in a moment. Now I have this baking dish. I greased it. Okay, so we want to take a portion of this dough, all right, and start getting it into this dish. All right, we're going to use the good old knuckles to get this in this dish. I have the oven set at 350, okay? 350, preheating. It's already preheated. Now remember, I have this dish greased. I put some butter in here. Got a lot of butter in this dessert. That's coming together beautifully, okay? Almost ready. Want to make sure the bottom is completely covered and get it up on the edges just a little bit, okay? Like raise it up maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch on the sides. If you got too much dough in the middle, just use your knuckles to spread it around and get it up elevated a little bit on the sides, okay? With some like indentations. So when you get the blueberries in there, everything can set. All right? Now you see I still have some left over here for a reason. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Yep, you probably think he's probably going to put that on the top of the blueberries. You would be absolutely correct. Okay, so now you see that? Cover the bottom, the edges. There's a little bit of height on the sides. All right, now for the filling, I have about 3 cups of blueberries. Fresh blueberries, not the canned stuff, okay? Fresh blueberries, all right, and I put about a cup of sugar in here and about a tablespoon and a half of lemon juice, a tablespoon of cornstarch, okay? Cornstarch in with the blueberries, cornstarch, a cup of sugar, let's see, what else did I put in here? That's, and lemon juice, I said that, and the sugar, and the blueberries, 3 cups of blueberries. So not a lot goes in this filling. So blueberries, sugar, cornstarch, and what else? Lemon juice. There we go. Lemon juice. See, I always have that time, the clock in my head, so to try to get through this. All right, and I mixed the blueberries up nicely to get the filling, and I just pour these luscious blueberries in here with all this sugar. Okay, set that there. Spread the wealth. Okay, 3 cups of blueberries, tablespoon of cornstarch, some lemon juice, sugar. Okay. All right, see that now? Now because it's crumble, remember that word. Okay, so try to get them evenly spread all the through the bottom of the dish. Okay, now, right? Now we take some of this, more of this dough, and we literally crumble it over top as I make a mess. Okay, get some more of that dough back in here. Oh man, yeah. So this is my blueberry bar crumble. Spread it around. And trust me, you will get crumbs everywhere. Everywhere. On you, your countertop, the sides of the dish. Alright, so that's all the crumble. Now you want to make sure you don't have really thick chunks of the crumble on top of these blueberries. Okay, so just use your fingers to break these little chunks up. The oven again is preheating at 350 degrees. Nice big chunk there. Get rid of that chunk right there, and okay, get some more in here. All right, that's it. Wipe off the hands. Okay. Always that one blueberry that pokes out, you know? Okay. So, there you have it. Blueberry crumble bar. Now I'm going to bake it. I'm going to put it in the oven. Okay? Oven's at 350. You don't need to put it on a pan or anything like that. And bake it for about 40-45 minutes. That's it. Okay, at 350, 40-45 minutes. So we're going to do one of these interesting edited things. Obviously I can't stand here and talk to you for 40 minutes. Well, I could, but you'll get bored senselessly. So we're going to take this little break while the blueberry crumble bar dish is baking, and then we're going to come back and take it out of the oven. Like 40-45 minutes, 50 minutes will have passed, but it's only going to seem like a split second when you see me again. So let's take this very quick break, and we'll be right back with the blueberry crumble. All right. See? A split second. Boom. I'm right back. When actually about 50 minutes went by. We're going to take the blueberry crumble out of the oven now. It should be ready. And, oh my goodness. Look at that. Turn it off. The blueberry crumble. Nice light brown on top, crumble. Now again, very quickly, how I made this, you make the crust. 2.5 cups of flour, a cup of soft butter, teaspoon of baking soda, well actually maybe a half a teaspoon of, not baking soda, baking powder. Wow, excuse me. Half a teaspoon of baking powder. Small half teaspoon of salt, okay, maybe a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring in there as well. Now I use 2 different sugars in the crust. Okay, I put about 3/4 of a cup to a cup of white sugar and maybe a half a cup of brown sugar. If you use a half a cup of brown sugar, lessen the amount of the white sugar. Okay, I tend to favor in most cases brown sugar. So, but you want the mixture in this crust. Okay, so you have the sugar, the flour, the baking powder, Yeah, half a teaspoon of baking powder, pinch of salt, okay, and some vanilla flavoring. All right. Then you mix it up, you create that dough. Then you, on a greased baking dish, you put the dough at the bottom of the dish. Have it come up slightly around the edges. Then you make the filling. I use about 3 cups of fresh blueberries, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, about a cup of sugar. Now you can just use white sugar here, and a tablespoon of cornstarch. Okay, mix that well with the sugar, blueberries, cornstarch, lemon juice, and fill the dish with the filling. And then you don't use all of the dough initially in the bottom of it. You want to save some because you want to break it up and sprinkle it across the top like I have here. Okay, so that dough has 2 different jobs it has to take care of. The bottom of the dish and the sprinkle of the dough on the top. So keep that in mind when you make the dough. You don't want to use all of it in the bottom of the dish because you're going to need some for the top. Okay, so let's look at this one more time. It's too hot to cut, but you let it sit, let it cool off, and then you can slice and take some bars out of there. And it is absolutely delicious. Okay, there's a lot of butter in here. There's a cup of butter in this plate, and I use salted butter. Okay, you can get into this thing of salted butter and non-salted. They'll ask you for non-salted butter in a recipe, but then they'll ask you to put salt in the recipe. So I don't know. I have to figure that one out. But I'm Jay Sennett. That's what's happening on this edition of Cooking with Jay. And you can watch it Sundays starting at 6 on the WHO Public Media Facebook page. It stays up on the page, so if you can't watch it at 6, you can come back later and check it out. And I want to thank the Chesapeake for their longtime support of the program. I want to thank you all for watching the show. And don't forget about my radio shows, Senate in Session and the R&B Chronicles on WHRV FM. If you like jazz, check out Senate in Session. If you like classic soul music, check out the R&B Chronicles. Until the next time, be safe, friends, and we'll see you again soon here in the Jazz Kitchen with another one of my jazzy recipes. All right, take care.
Support provided by the Chesapeake in Newport News, catering to the palate of every single resident. More at thechesapeake.org.